At Charlotte Public Schools, we have learned a lot over the last 8 months about our grading practices and the communication that takes place to provide a clear picture of progress to students, parents, and staff. We've learned that although there are grading practices that have been in place for a while in Charlotte, they may not be clear enough for everyone. We envision grading practices that are in line with the latest research and best practices, but that are also user-friendly and informative for all. We know that parents need to be aware on a regular basis of how their children are progressing in their classes in order to support their students and hold them accountable. We hope this video will be the first step in providing clarity to parents and students about our grading practices. We want you to know that this is the first step in a greater process, and we commit to continually reflecting on and improving in this area. Thank you for taking the time to learn with us.
Hello CPS parents, my name is Maitland and I'm the Director of Curriculum and Instruction for our district. For those who do not know, Charlotte has been a standards-based grading district for over 10 years. We frequently have families who are unaware of what standards-based grading is. Sometimes that's because their students are new to the school, and other times it's because they're coming from a district that used a traditional grading approach. One important point for you to understand is that in almost all public schools these days, we use sets of standards that are adopted by Michigan to determine what we are to teach students. You've probably heard of the Common Core standards that guide us in ELA, in language arts, and math. We also have Next Generation Science standards and the College, Career, and Civic Life standards for social studies. There are also sets of standards for health, PE, art, technology, and other courses of study that we offer. Whether you're used to traditional grading with the A's, B's, C's, and D's, or standards-based grading, standards are at the foundation of what we expect students to know and do in schools. With true standards-based grading, the aim is to set up a system that makes it crystal clear which of those standards we expect students to master in a particular grade level or class. Our grading processes should keep staff, students, and parents all on the same page about a student's progress on those standards that we've identified. One of the main ways that this is accomplished in standards-based grading is that students will have a grade that is entered for each standard in the class or course. In contrast, a traditional gradebook normally has one grade that averages or sums up the entire course. This also allows teachers to have clarity about the specific progress of each student and their class of students. If all students are struggling with fractions, it allows them to adapt their instruction to meet that need and support students strategically on fractions. There are a variety of other differences with traditional and standards-based grading that you may be interested in. We've created a more comprehensive document and placed it on the district website for those that are interested in more information on this topic.
Hello, my name is Mckenna and I'm the principal at Parkview Elementary. One of the main questions we get about standards-based grading is related to the 4-point scale. Why is a 4-point scale used? Why can't we just stick with A's, B's, C's, and D's? Once there are prioritized standards to guide instruction and learning, proficiency scales must be created by staff. Proficiency scales clearly outline learning progressions for each student. Learning progressions or scales describe how the student's understanding of a topic develop over time. Remember, the goal is to provide clarity to where the student learning is at any moment in time in the course or class. Within the 4-point scale, the level 3 is grade level or course goal for that student. What that means is that by the end of the course or class, we expect each student to be at that level. Take a look at this generic proficiency scale. One of the main differences between standards-based grading and traditional grading is that standards-based acknowledges that learning is a gradual process and is able to represent and communicate learning over time. Traditional grading and the way that learning is average is not able to represent and reward that gradual process. In this example of learning and skill progression of riding a bike, it makes complete sense. When teaching a child to ride a bike, we understand that it's a gradual learning and a skill building process. We know that most children do not jump on the bike and ride without training wheels right away. There is a sequence to the learning. In this example, we don't view training wheels as a negative. It's part of the progression of learning. It is a foundational skill for most children to be able to reach the desired goal of riding on their own without training wheels. So we have a student practice at that level so that they are comfortable and ready to tackle the goal of riding without training wheels. In standards-based grading, it's common for the students to receive a level 2 grades in the standard at the beginning of their learning. The goal is that by the end of their learning or the course or class, they are at a level 3. Many times, parents express frustrations with the school and their students with a score of 2 is reported in grades, progress reports, or report cards. When this happens, it's important to be mindful that this may be the expected based on the progression of learning or not. There are times where a student's effort, learning difficulties, comprehension of the topic, or other factors may be contributing to that lower score. At other times, it may be completely expected that a student's at a level 2. Collaboration and communication with the teacher is crucial to determine whether the reported score is expected or acceptable or not.
As Ms. Mckenna mentioned, there are times where communication with teachers is needed to determine how your student is doing in the classroom. Based upon feedback from parents, we know that this communication needs to happen more often than when progress reports and report cards are sent home. As with any grading system, it is crucial that parents and teachers are in frequent communication with each other. The main communication method for CPS staff ranges from phone calls, newsletters, and personal emails to more formal communication like progress reports and report cards. Since the beginning of the pandemic, we've begun to use 2 major programs to communicate with students and parents. In DK2, Seesaw is the main method of communication. If you're not in the habit of using Seesaw, we encourage you to reach out to your child's teacher to learn more about how it can keep you informed. The same is true for Google Classroom in grades 3 through 12. Most of your students' assignments, assessments, and communications from the teacher are facilitated through these 2 platforms. By staying connected to Seesaw or Google Classroom, you'll be able to keep up to date with the daily and weekly messages, assignments, and assessments. If you need support accessing these, please contact your student's teacher. Teachers also communicate to you through Skyward. If you don't have family access set up in Skyward yet, we have the link on our website explaining how to do that. You receive 4 very formal communications through Skyward throughout the year. You receive a progress report in the fall, a report card at the end of the first semester, another progress report in the spring, and a final progress report in June. In standards-based grading, daily assignments and quizzes are like your child learning to ride a bike with training wheels. Homework is practice. Quizzes are practice. The assessments and quizzes are preparing your student for that major test or performance task that the teacher is going to use to determine where your child is at in reference to the grade level standard. At the end of the day, we need to remember what the goal is. The goal is to hit a level 3 by the end of the school year. If your student receives 1s and 2s on the progress report in October, that doesn't mean that they're not on track. This may be completely expected based upon what is being taught up to that point. If the student is still receiving 1s and 2s in March, this is cause for concern and the conversations with teachers should be taking place.